Hi there, Colleen Adrian here. One of the most important things that I have taught my son that really helped him to have a broad perspective um, in the face of diversity, diverse personality types, different ways people live their lives, and to be understanding about different people's perspectives. So I started teaching him when he was very young that there's very few absolute truths. There's very few things that are absolutely 100% right or wrong or truthful or false. What there mostly is perspectives or opinions. And I started teaching him that when he was quite young. And I can tell you a little story about that actually, because um, he came home from school one day. He was probably in about grade 4, maybe. He might have been around 9 years old. And he was really upset, and he wanted me to buy him a new hat. And he already had one hat that he wore all the time, and then he had a couple of other hats as well. And I just thought, he doesn't really need another hat. So I sort of said, no, like we aren't going to spend money on another hat right now. And he was quite upset. And it took a little bit of time for me to tease it out of him, to sort of understand like what's going on, like where is this coming from? You have this hat that you wear all the time, and now suddenly you want me to buy you a new hat. So finally he told me, I guess the hat that he usually loved and wore all the time, I guess one of the kids at school had decided to tease him about it, and I don't remember what they said about it, but suddenly he wasn't feeling very good about it anymore. And he thought that a new hat was the solution. And I had already been teaching him for some time, about this idea that there's perspectives. There isn't really, truths, or very many truths anyway. And so I said to him, I said, oh, like once he finally told me, I was like, oh, that's an opinion. Like that's not true. Like you love that hat. And I remember the look on his face. It was like, oh, right? And he went and he picked up his hat. It had been sitting on the floor, and he put it back on his head, and that was the end of it. He wore it back to school the next day. And that was my first really obvious time that I really noticed the impact of what I'd been teaching him since he was quite a lot younger. And I can tell you now, looking back over the years, he's 20 years old, and he really has quite a broad perspective. He'll listen to other people's perspectives. He doesn't get caught up in needing to be right or wrong. And I think that came partly from teaching him from a young age that there's mostly perspectives, and there isn't really very many things that are 100%, only, this is the only truth that there is. It's an absolute truth. And I think that it also comes from my having listened to his perspective a lot and have been curious about his feelings and his experiences with things. So he's learned through role modeling, and he's also learned through my telling him that. So I hope that's helpful. If you have questions or comments, please pop them in the link below. Again, my name's Colleen Adrian. I am a parent coach and also offer relational somatic therapy. If you have questions or stories to share along this topic, I'd love to hear them below. Thanks for listening.